afternoon, everybody. I'm getting ready to go into Job chapter 3. Father, we thank you for your word. We thank you for allowing us to come together again to sit at your feet to hear your word. We know that you are the God that knows everything and in control of everything. And you are not afraid of anything. And we thank you that you have given us a right to look at Job chapter 3, a chapter that we've never studied before. And we ask that you allow us to see what you had to say and spread the news about what you said when you said in this particular chapter. Father, help us to forgive those who have wronged us and forgive me for my wrong. And I ask you that you would educate us, put us in a place where we would sit down. And I believe that you want us educated because that's what you put in this book for us to take time to read it. And so that when we speak, we will sound just like you because we know what we are talking about according to what you have in your word. Thank you for being my God. You are all powerful, all knowing. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, I am in, hey Wayne, I'm in Job chapter 3. And I read a lot of commentators how they looked at this chapter, but I have something that I think is very rich for me. What happened so far, Job has lost everything. He has lost his family, he has lost his cattle, let's imagine the richest man on earth, and he has lost everything. And with that, not only that, God allowed him to do it. Job did nothing wrong. The word says he was perfect, upright, feared God, and eschewed evil. I mean, he hated evil. But now Job is at a position where after that, God allowed the enemy to touch his flesh, his body. And so with that being done, Job is at his wit's end. And so chapter 3 tells us what he feels like. And then his friends come along and they see him and they don't recognize him because he's not the Job that they knew. If you were rich and famous and all of a sudden you weighed 200 pounds and now you're down to 8 or 9 pounds, and then you got boils on the top of your head to the sole of your feet, that's a lot for one man to take when he maybe went fishing with these guys, and all of a sudden they looking at him like, what happened? So that's where Job is, laying down beside the ashes. His wife told him to say, I know you're a man of integrity. Why don't you just curse God and die? In other words, you haven't spoken anything against God, so why don't you take this day and don't live like this, and I'll get it. That's what his wife said. And she knew him well enough to know that he was a good man, but she didn't like him in that position. So perhaps she may not have been trying to be mean. That was just probably her way of just saying, I hate to see you like that. And I know you've been doing right for so long, and God has blessed you over and over again. This time, do something wrong so you can go and get out of this earth. That's what she thought. All right, so here we find Job. So the 7 days, 7 nights, after the devil did what God allowed. And somebody said, why did God allow the devil why did God even talk to the devil? Well, the devil has no power and God has no problem telling us that he talked to him. Just like yesterday when God just revealed to me, people go in the word all the time. They don't have the right spirit. And they go in for reasons that they should not be in there, finding something to argue about, finding something to say that he didn't say. So that's not the first time the enemy God talked to the enemy. He's talking to us every day. So the devil, he just wants us to think he all that. He ain't got no more power than God gave him. The Bible said we would narrowly look at him. In other words, you're going to say, I just know you ain't the one that caused all this trouble on earth. So he wants to be inflated. So when God talked to the devil and God allowed the enemy to do this to him, he talked to Satan and he said, go ahead, but don't take his life. In other words, I told you day one that this guy gonna win the game. Now you want to go through the process, I'm gonna let you do it. Job is gonna be all right, says the Lord. But he went through some things, and then God will prove himself and his word to be again the truth. So let's see, the enemy touched him, and the enemy was so happy to touch Job. God was like, he flew out of there. And when it did what he said, hoping to accomplish that, he's going to curse you to your face. God said, I know you're not. I can give you my word, Satan. So we don't have to be afraid of somebody. Jesus said, he said, when the enemy is going to be something that you're going to say, I just know this ain't the devil. I just know this ain't the devil. The word said it. They're going to look at you like, is that the devil? Mm-hmm. Is that what we've been dealing with? Is you? We ain't dealing with nothing. We ain't dealing with absolutely nothing. That's why he ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. So when we give him too much credit, he just say, I'd like to look inflated in your eyes. He do some stupid stuff, so do people, which allow him to be influenced by it. But he ain't all that. He ain't got no power. And God let him do what he did, and let's see what happened. So 7 days they sat down, there was not a word spoken. After this opened Job his mouth and cursed his day. What do you mean his day? His birthday, the day that he was born. He said, I hate the day that I was born. I curse it. And Job spake and said, let the day perish wherein I was born. I told you it was his birthday. And the night in which it was said, he said, I was born at night. There is a man child conceived. I was born at nighttime. And Job said, let that day be cursed. He said, See, Job was like this. If I had slept with another man's wife, if I had stole something from my brother, if I had did anything, I can understand me being in this position. It's just the fact that I was born. I had to go all the way back to the bottom. I can't think of nothing I did to be in this position. So let's just say that I'm just hate the day that somebody said it's a boy. He said, there is a man. He said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, my mama said I was born at night, there's a man child conceived. That might have been the ultrasound. Now they can tell you how we think we got something new. He said, boy, girl, you're going to have a baby. I can tell you're going to have a baby that you conceive the son. We know he's a son because he was born. He said, let that day be darkness. Let not God regard it from above. Neither let the light shine upon it. If I can talk about something wrong I did, I'll talk about it. I can't think of nothing I did wrong because I was perfect and upright and I did things and I didn't show partiality. And the only thing I can go back is, Lord, why you let me be born? Let darkness in the shadow of death stain it. Take my birthday and just demolish it. Let darkness in the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. Now, Job is laying down there with all them boils on his top of his head, the sole of his feet, and he is talking in, they said, poetic form. But he's talking like a man that when he did have strength, he must have read enough about life that now that what's on the inside of him is being pushed out of him. You know, most of us, we get in a position like Job, we want to cuss somebody out. But Job said, no, I can't cuss because ain't no cuss in me. So the only thing I can think of is, why was I born? As for the night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. Most of us wouldn't be talking like that, all the stuff Job been through. Losing his family, losing all his stuff, and all he can think about, if I just had never been born. Because all I can think about is every day I woke up to do good and look at who I am and what I'm going through now. It ain't got nothing to do with what I did or anything. I can see, like I said, if I lied to somebody, I can get it. But I ain't did that. So it started with the fact that I was born. So I'm like, Lo, let that night be solitary by itself. Let no joyful noise come from therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. They said this mean right here, let them that do curse it, let them curse it that curse the day. The folk that do cursing for a living, let them curse the day I was born, who are ready to raise up their mourning. So they said it was something that can be raised from the people that did, that had some type of power, that they would raise up some type of something that can scare you, some animal in the water. And they said, let that day come, that just let people be, just let that day be so it never existed. Then in pain, Job, I can tell you read a lot of good books. Because he said, let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. We don't talk like that. We be causing, I know why I did this, I never should have done this. That's how we talk. But Job said, even when Job is writing as if to say he was a good writer. Because he's describing everything concerning the day, that every detail about that day or moment he was born. He said, let the stars of the twilight therefore be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day. I hate the day I was born. Because there's no reason why I should be sitting here and all this going on other than the fact that I just exist. Because he shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor he is sorry for mine eye. Why they had to say that is why Job is saying, why died I not from the womb? How come I got that? How come I had to go through this? I don't get it. Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the bed? Why is it they say I was still born? Why did the knees prevent me, or why the breast that I should suck? Why did I come forth? And they say, here he come. And then take the breast of my mother. And why did I have to go through that? Job said, I don't have no whole lot of stuff I did wrong. Only thing I know that I shouldn't have been, based on what I'm going through, is I was born. I can see if I embezzled money. I can see if I told a lie. I can see I die in debt. I can see if I ain't pay my bills. I can see if I didn't do what God told me to do when he told me to do, but I didn't do that. The only thing that I have to say is, why was I born? For now should I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept. Then had I been at rest, I should have been in the grave. I shouldn't have tried. I shouldn't have got up. I just never should have been an opportunity to live. And I did everything I know to do. And here I am in a position that I don't even understand why I'm here. I could have been with kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves. Them folk that's going to hell for building all that stuff for themselves. I could have been with, no, he ain't trying to be with them. He did tell me I'm trying to be with kings built desolate places for themselves. I can't say they went to hell because he ain't trying to go to hell. Or with princes that had gold who filled their houses with silver. In other words, I just should have been dead, whether they were right or wrong. I should have been with the dead people on them dollar bills. Or as a hidden untimely birth, I had not been as an infant which never saw light. I said, my mama should have had a miscarriage. It should have been me. Because out of all that I did, I tried to treat people right. I love people. I love my wife. I love my children. I stayed before God. I made offerings. I did all of this, and I still don't understand why I'm here. So it's got to be that the fact, Lord, please, well, not Lord, but it's just the fact that I was born. He said, at least there the wicked cease from troubling. You know what that means? I'll be in a place where it won't be the ceasing of the troubles that the wicked do won't be there. I won't even be around wicked people. Where I want to go is where the wicked cease from troubling. Ain't nobody going to be troubling the wicked. It ain't going to be no wicked. Ain't going to be no wicked I don't want to be. And there the weary be at rest. So if you were lost, at least you got some rest. I could have just been with the folk that dead. Being dead is the only thing I can think about. There the prisoners rest together and hear not the voice of the oppressor. It's silent over there where I want to be. I'm just imagining what it's like to be dead myself because I can't understand. I understand life because I did right, but maybe if I had never had the opportunity to live, I wouldn't be like this. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. In other words, there ain't no big U's and little I's, and nobody living in the black community and the white community. It's all the same. Everybody quiet. I wish I were there. Oh, I wish I was there. Oh, Lord, I wish I... Wherefore is life given to him that is in misery, and life under the bitter. Wherefore is life given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul. He said, every time I think about anything, I just don't understand why I wish I was not alive. Which long for death. Now he said, and these folk, wherefore is life given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul. I need to see what that said. The 20th. Oh, Lord, I said, I wasn't going to need this right here. But I want that 20th verse according to Job 3:20, because this is amazing to me how God, I'm going to show you what he showed me, that I can see this thing in a way. But Job is in pain, and I'm not mocking him. I'm just trying to show you that when a righteous man lives and he don't understand what he's going through, he's the only thing I can think about I did wrong was the fact that I was born. Why is life given to, okay, that's what it said. Why is life given to one burdened with grief, and life to those? Or he said, why in the world is life given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter soul? Why is life given to one burdened with grief, and life to those who existence is bitter? How come the people that try to do right, why they given bad times? Where they long for death, but it comes not, and dig for it more than for hid treasure. In other words, I want to die so bad, I just can't die. Why? Which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave. It said, if a man that ain't doing nothing wrong could just find the grave, at least I'll be dead. Why is life given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged him in? Why is it that if a man do right, why is he going through so many problems? That don't make sense. He said, for my sign comes before I can't stand nothing on my stomach, before I eat, and my roaring are poured out like the waters. I've grown all night. For the thing which I greatly feel is come upon me. What is he talking about right there? The very thing that I feared, I'm living it. I paid my taxes to stay away from folk that's got what I got. I treated my family right because I didn't want no problem. I did everything I knew by the book, and I still got what the folk do that break the law. He said, for the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me. When I read books that edified God. When I talked to the older people, I treated them as double honor. He said, but I was doing all that to keep from being where I am, and here it is. That thing is on me. And that which I was afraid of is come unto me. The very thing that I woke up when I was a little child, I made up my mind I want to live right because I saw what happened to my friends. And here I am going through the same thing to folk I know ain't no good did, which I'm not bragging. I'm not talking about them. I'm just saying I tried to avoid these things. I was not in safety. Neither had I rest. Neither was I quiet. Yet trouble came. I did everything that I thought would make God pleased with me. And here it is, I am just like everybody else. I ain't talking about nobody else. I'm just saying me, said Job. God has said, what God gave me in this thing is very simple. I looked at a lot of commentators, but I took my time. I said, what I'm seeing in here, a man that even under pressure as he is, number one, he never said one word against God's promise. He didn't say, Lord, you owe me, and Lord, why this happened? He said it. He took upon himself, he said, I just don't understand why I'm alive. That's him talking. Never did he curse God. Never charged God foolishly. He said, based on the choices of trying to do right, for me to have all of this that I'm feeling right now. I just don't understand why I was born. And even in that, the way he spoke, you can tell that he read books that were not filled with folly because he understood birth. He paid attention to life. And so the only thing that he said is the price of being born in the equivalency of what I have. He said the only problem I see with myself is I was born. I wouldn't say, he couldn't think of nothing else. Which is the same thing as God said, he's a perfect and upright man. He don't like evil and he fears my word. But most of us would say, if I hadn't married that man, I wouldn't be here. We got something that we can equate while we are having the problems that we have. But Job said, I don't have that. The very people that I tried to stay away from, I find myself in the same position they're in. That's chapter 3, which we have to go to chapter 4. So if somebody came in and looked at chapter 3 and pulled something out of that, you're in danger. Because that's a man's cry. He's tried to reason. The only thing he said, I know that I did, and I tried not to do anything to hurt anybody, is I was born. Had I not been born, I wouldn't see these days. And I imagine death the best way I know. And nobody knows death. Other than if God does not reveal death, you believe what he said, that's what you know. But as far as being able to describe it, Job said, that's how I see it. If I just would have died at childbirth, my mom would have just had a miscarriage. Because I can't figure out why in the world is my children dead? Why in the world is everything? Not that I want it. It's just that I can understand it better if I understood what I did to be in this position. And I'm just thinking out loud, said Job. I'm not blaming anybody. I just see that myself. I'm really just want to, I hate the day. I hate the day that they say it's a boy. And then those seven days and 7 nights with those 3 friends sitting there watching Job, for the next 30-some chapters, they're getting ready to try to talk to Job. I'm excited to see what they got to say. Job said, I didn't say what I got to say. The Bible said after these things, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day. And from verse 1 through 26, he meant every word he said. I just don't understand. Was Job wrong? We got to find out. I know one thing, that's how he felt. But one thing I know before I read this, I saw this. And the Lord said unto Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. And then the devil had his talk about, but God said, I trust that man. I trust Job. This is God talking about Job. And then God let us see how Job felt about life in chapter 3. And he allowed him to speak. Now, one thing about God, he has, if Job need to be corrected, God said, I'll correct him. But I wanted you to see what he said, and still he had enough dignity to watch what he said about me. Woo! Watch what you say about my father. Because the first thing that a lot of people do, they blame God. God said he didn't blame me at all. He talked about what he knew, but he never dishonored that I am God. That's chapter 3. Now, talk to y'all later. Love y'all. Bye.